Let's take a quick look forward to the rest of the season, Jon Wertheim. After this confusing event, we knew everything. We knew all the favorites going into Roland Garros. They largely delivered. Come here, no one knows anything, and we get chaos. What's in store for the rest of the year? What are the storylines that intrigue you? What are the biggest question marks for certain players moving forward through the U.S. Open and the rest of the year?
I think just kind of stepping back, the big picture is the Olympics. And I saw a player sort of set me the rules and regulations. And there's going to be coaching, and there's not going to be technology on the net. Remember, we had a good eye roll about that. Looks like it's not going to be there for the Olympics either. There will be an on-site mental health professional, which I found interesting. But I think the bigger picture is for some players, they've begged off and they don't want to deal with it. For other players, Carlos Alcaraz included, I mean, he was just here talking about how excited he is. He's going to stay in the village. He's going to meet other athletes. He really wants to win a medal for his country with Rafa. I'm really, I would say surprised, but I am, I do think it's interesting, the absolute sort of range of how much this matters. Some athletes, this is equal to a major. Others, they begged off. And I'm curious if that was your experience. I don't know if that's having the Olympics in Paris is an easy trip for some players and a pain in the ass for others. I don't know if it's, I've been there once, that's good enough. But I'm really sort of, everyone comes to the majors, they want to win. It's a big deal. Nobody denies these are the 4 tentpoles. The outcome, sort of the range of opinions on the Olympics is all over the place. And I'm curious if you have thoughts on that.
It's strange that the people that can definitely contend for the gold medal seem to be a little more enthusiastic about the Olympics. Just simply.
Yeah, but not,
and some people want to take a walk in the opening ceremony.
Yeah, but also couldn't Ons Jabeur on the clay of Paris, where she trained as a child, couldn't she be a contender? It was nothing to do with it. Couldn't Francis could sneak out a medal?
Well, no, he couldn't, not on clay. No, I don't think so. But Ons Jabeur, yes. But is that time better spent? This is the entire conversation. Jabeur goes there for half of a chance at a medal, or does she actually prepare and try to hunt down that first Grand Slam in New York? I think the choice is pretty clear. I'll tell you, I was all in on my first Olympics in 2004. Had a great time. Took an unfortunate loss to Fernando Gonzalez. Watched one of my good friends, Marty Fish, make a run to the finals. Almost won. He almost won a medal. I had more fun that week being his practice partner and watching his matches. I'll tell you what the reality is for like Novak's going to fill a resume thing, because that's the only thing he hasn't really done is win that Olympic gold in singles. It's just like, I don't think it's the same for tennis players, because I lost in 2004 and I watched my fellow American teammates in different sports lose, and it was the end of 4 years of work. With this moment can't be shot for again. I'm making a life decision whether or not I pursue this opportunity again. I got to go to New York and play the U.S. Open like 10 days later. There's just different consequences, and I think it's great. I think it's great that it's part of it. I think if it's the most important thing in Novak's year, I think that's fantastic for him. If Francis doesn't, if he values staying back and trying to make a run at the U.S. Open, which we know he's capable of, that seems like a rational decision. I don't think it's baked in one decision fits all for everyone, and therefore we can judge if they choose to do it or not to do it. I qualified 3 times. I went twice. I recovered from an injury in 2008 to my shoulder and decided to play 2 tour events instead so I could get matches to go into the U.S. Open.
No,
in 2012, I was more excited to play because it was played at that court behind you, which I thought I had a real chance at. So listen, think what you want, just don't judge too harshly. And or if someone prioritizes it more than anything, that doesn't mean that everyone else has to.
Yeah, no, I don't say it to condemn or condone. Players make their own schedules. Lord knows there's enough demand. I just think it's really interesting. I don't think it's necessarily obvious who's making what choices, but for some players, this is everything. And they're talking about staying in the village, and they're talking about, how can I get more tickets and can I purchase? For some players, it's been a real topic of conversation. And for others, this may as well just be another summer event. So it's interesting to me that, and it doesn't seem that there's that much predictability and logic to it. It's just, just value neutral. It's just kind of interesting to me that some players really prioritize this. I mean, look at Rafa's playing as we almost speak. Rafa's playing a clay event in Sweden to get in shape for the Olympics.
Doesn't that kind of prove my point, though, that the players who like the venue and the place and the surface are prioritizing it?
Right. Unless he could just as easily say, look, I've won my medals. I'm 38 years old.
He skipped the venue behind you so he could go play on clay in Paris again.
Yeah. No, exactly. Again, it's
listen.
I mean, one thought on it from this perspective is, how much of this is also the current nature of the Olympics being so commoditized. Like how many of these people are making these appearances for exposure and for sponsor deals and.
I don't know. I mean, that's every week, though. I mean, that's everyone's in their business regardless. Listen, it's a huge factor in the summer. We're going to have less of a read on who's playing well on the hard courts going in because there's this big, massive event interruption in the middle of the year. We will see what happens. The transition from clay to hard to clay to hard, clay to grass to clay to hard is brutal. It's not like we need more reasons for tennis players' bodies to break down, especially after having watched the last 2 weeks at Wimbledon. Maybe someday we'll have an honest conversation about how that can be helped or fixed. Scheduling. We will be back to close out the show. Segment 4. Thank you for listening to Served, presented by Chase.